Welcome back to You're in the Frame with Mike Ford. I'm Mike Ford, Toronto photographer, partnering as always with my friends at Album Studios and Equipment. This is the show, an ongoing video series about what it's like to be a professional photographer. I shoot commercial and I shoot editorial. And we're going to jump right into the week that has been and the week that is to come. Right off the bat, I had an inquiry for a corporate headshot gig come in maybe 2 weeks ago. 7 shots, 14 selects, build a studio at a hotel in downtown Toronto. And I gave them a number, let's say between $6,000 and $8,000, somewhere in there. And they came back with a solid no. So that was too high. I always go in a little juicy. I mean, on location, building a studio, backgrounds, lightings, assistants, doesn't seem like it's that steep to me. But I have followed up a couple of times just to see if there's any room to move. I can always come down a little bit. We can maybe meet somewhere in the middle and do the work. No dice. I haven't heard back from the client, so let's just say I think I may have lost that one. And that's okay. I have an idea of what I'm worth and what I want to charge, and that's what I do. Sometimes I might get it a little bit wrong, or I might get it, you know, it's even after all these years, you're still just kind of feeling it out. And sometimes they're just going to say no. I mean, this guy maybe wanted to pay $2,000 for the whole thing, and that would not have worked for me. So there it is. Had a job on the line, lost it. But this week, actually today, just received an email for a potential 2-day shoot happening in mid-April. Would be a advertising gig, and they found me online. So I'm just going to flip real quick here over to the website, and I just want to remind everybody that's watching, which is like all one of you, take care of your website. Your website is number one. It's not Instagram. It's not TikTok. All those things can be important in their own ways, but you are a photographer. You are a visual artist. Your website has to be number one. So here's my page. You land on it, and right away you get a sense of exactly what I do. I work with athletes. My work is pretty high end. You just tell right away. And if you like it, amazing. And if you don't like it, then you move on. But it's right there. There's 0 clicks, which I think is a really big deal. There's 0 clicks for you to get a sense of who I am as an artist, as a photographer. So really important to keep that website up to date, like all the time, fresh, clean, and as few clicks as possible to get to the good stuff, because nobody wants to click around and go hunting for your fantastic work. My gosh. So I have a call with them tomorrow at 1 p.m., which is amazing. I'm just going to throw in one more tip. My gosh, tip of the day. Answer emails swiftly. I can't believe how many times a week I hear, "Oh, thank you for getting back to me so quickly." It's like, what else would why wouldn't I get back to you? And I know this because when I email assistants or I email some stylists or whoever, and they just don't respond to the email at all, or maybe they get back to me like a day or two later. It's like, no, this is not good. This is all happening like now, live. Like, if I don't answer this email right away, they're looking at other photographers for sure. So I want to make sure I get some FaceTime. Email immediately, as soon as you can. Return emails. Oh my gosh, return emails. Assistants, crew, directors, photographers, agency, whoever, just return emails. Oh my goodness. It's like half my gig is just return the email on time and I get the job. So yeah, there it is. Return the email. And then I had 2 in-person agency meetings this week, which is phenomenal. So one on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. Today's Monday, March 17th. And then one on Thursday. And yeah, I mean, you can never stop. You can't stop. You got to keep trying to get meetings. For me, like FaceTime is the best, not Zoom, not Teams, or whatever the other BS is. Yeah, I like getting in front of people. Is it ironic that I'm doing a YouTube show? Anyway, who knows? So love that. I have a rep, Sparks Photographers here in Toronto. Big shout out. Love my rep, but is it the cure all? Is it the silver bullet? Absolutely not. So I'm still very much hustling my own work. I'm shooting creatives. I want to give them new work to promote. It's all about these relationships. And for me, hustling and seeing new people, meeting new agency directors, creative directors, art buyers, producers, you name it. It is so important. And how do I do that? Oh my gosh. A big part of it is LinkedIn. Huge part of it is LinkedIn. Find out who the ADs are, the CDs are, the art buyers, the producers, and do the old LinkedIn. Yeah, you're not going to get a response like, you know, 9 times out of 10. It's not going to happen. But you will get the odd response, and that could lead to a wonderful relationship where you get to produce some amazing work and make some money, which we love. So that's what's happening this week. Couple of meetings, lost a job, maybe get another one tomorrow. We'll see. So the last time we spoke, I was going to shoot a creative underwater. So I've shot the creative. That was actually quite a long time ago because I had pneumonia. Ugh, brutal. My God. Anyway, so we're back and let's look at the images. I got 3 selects here. Album Studios and Equipment here in Toronto was kind enough to source me an Outex underwater housing system, which is not a hard shell, but it's actually kind of a soft case. It's kind of like a condom that goes over your camera and you have access to all the buttons. There's a screen on the back. Obviously, there's a little lens window at the front. Really neat kind of alternative to like the really hard shell ones, like the super advanced ones. I mean, those are fantastic, but those are a little hard to come by unless you're willing to pay the big bucks. So shout out to Album for getting that for me. Amazing. And they were also, I asked for a big hot light. So I got a Aperture LS 600D Pro. And you can rent all this stuff from Album, but put that up on a big sky high, which is a huge stand, and just kind of aimed it down towards the water. Got a shot that I really like. Really tough to shoot underwater. My gosh, you're trying to compose. You're trying to tell the subject what to do. You're trying to not float away, and you're trying to breathe. So I knew it was going to be hard. It was a lot harder than I thought. Stroke of genius, though, and I can't take credit for this. One of my subjects recommended we put a couple of kettlebells on the pool floor. So perfect, dive down, kind of slip my feet in there, and now I'm sat and I'm able to compose. I'm talking to my subjects kind of above the water. Here's what I want you to do, yada, yada, yada. I'm trying to point to them under. It's a whole thing. But the kettlebells, like having a weight at the bottom was huge. So let's flick over to, oh, and then I did a couple of portraits. I know I was going to do like a stark white with a blue and a red. So I did something like that. Didn't quite go stark white. We'll see. We'll see what we did there. I'm also going to show you a little bit how I retouched it because, why not? A big part of my retouching straight off the bat is dodge and burning. That's it's almost exclusively what I do to retouch. So let's see what we have here. This is always a little tricky. How do we do this? There we go. Okay, so here's our first shot. This is right out of the camera, by the way, right out of the camera. So we have the aperture light coming in right at the top, right here. We have our subject firing off the wall. She's kind of in the middle. There's this little bit of a wide angle thing right here, which I think is really cool. And here is the kind of final shot. Boom, right there. So really cool. So what happened here? So right away in Capture One, I use Capture One, no affiliation. I just like Capture One. I think the processing algorithm is slightly better than, what's the other one? Lightroom. So I also like tethering with it way better. So Capture One, shout out. No affiliation, just a good product. So color grade in capture to get rid of, like, it's a little green, it's a little like, okay, it's good start, but it's not quite there. And so we go into capture, we do a pretty heavy color grade, and then let's see here. Do I have this? Oh yeah, so here we go. This is actually out of the camera. My gosh, I actually thought this was the retouch version. Okay, so here's the retouch right here. So minimal, right? Very minimal. There's a little bit kind of darken the edges a little bit here. There is some dodging and burning, like some contouring, some muscle definition kind of along here, looking really cool, right? Right in here, like really bringing this out. Amazing. And then I actually added just a hint of a custom flare. You can see it just changes color ever so slightly, just to give you something. It's so subtle, but I think it kind of helps the image because there is a light shining through the water. So it might refract, it might add a little bit of color. So that is the underwater shot. It took us forever to get there. My gosh. So yeah, it's all about experimentation, and this was super cool. So let's go to the portrait, and here we go. Started off it's already quite strong, dramatic lighting. I think I had an assistant with a boom and a beauty dish, and then I had a little bit of a red light obviously coming in here. It was barn doors. I had barn doors on a Profoto B10. That's what I had back here. And here is the retouched version. And so you can see again, color grade, and some dodging and burning, very light, but it's mostly a color grade, to be honest, and some dodging and burning just to make it a little more dramatic. But there isn't a lot there. Oh, this is just I keep doing this. This is just out of Capture One. This is the retouch. Oh my, I do like that better. So what are we looking at? We're looking at a little bit of dodge and burn here, some more muscle definition here, a little bit of an effect back here, a little bit more of a color grade, right? Now, I want to point out something really cool that was just totally unexpected, and that is all of this right here. All of this really neat pattern we're getting back there. Almost looks like water refracting, you know? Like, so that is the light leaking through the barn doors on the B10 Plus that I've got going on back there. So completely unexpected. And yeah, I mean, wild, right? Like, what a neat surprise. Super sharp subject. Gave her a little bit of a do-over with the lenses. I feel like I could have maybe brought in a reflector or something to make those lenses like pop a little more in camera. You can see there it is right there. Also cleaned up some of the just kind of flyaways and stuff here, but honestly, didn't do that much. Didn't do that much. Looks really cool. All this in camera, like just a lot of artifacting and stuff coming in from that barn door and that, what was it? I think it was a gridded beauty dish, a gridded beauty dish. I did add this little bit back here. I'm actually not sure if I really like it now, but it looks kind of cool. Just kind of adds to that underwater kind of element, right? So that's portrait number one. Whoops, wrong button. Portrait number two coming in here. This is, I believe, sorry, this is out of the camera. This is a color grade. And this is a color grade plus retouch. So again, not much, definitely some color work there. Did some definition of the muscles, some dodging and burning, because that's my whole jam is dodging and burning. Looks like I probably could have done a little bit more work in just that. There's a little bit of, see here, there's that highlight there. Maybe I'll fix that. Not sure if I like that. Also did some work on his glasses or his goggles. goggles. So this was actually in camera, so I thought, man, what the heck? Let's just kind of stick with it, give it that vibe. And then again, we look over here and more like delicious spill from the barn doors, right? Like what? Like that is amazing considering that we're like kind of doing an underwater thing. It kind of looks like it's water or light refracting off of the water, like very cool. So yeah, here's the shoot. Here are the results from the creative. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, is it, front of the page portfolio? No, not necessarily, but it was a fantastic experience. And let's see, how do I get back to me? Because that's what the people want to see. My gosh, here we go. Really cool experience. Learned a ton. I think, mo- you know, looking back, I think looking at like Speedo goggle campaigns would have been a helpful way to do a little bit more research. Um, and maybe doing some more research on kind of underwater poses and stuff that I didn't want to do and stuff that I did want to do. But it's hard to really kind of go in fully prepared when you have to hold your breath and you have to compose and all this stuff is happening underwater and you're floating away in this almost this like zero G environment. So it definitely makes for extremely difficult photography. So like a tank would be fantastic. Weights would be great, like a scuba tank or something. Anyway, really fun experience. Everybody involved had a great time. I had a great time. And again, it was one of those things that was, we didn't have a ton of time. We had maybe half an hour or 40 minutes in the pool, and then we had to squeeze in some portraits on the side. I had an idea of what I wanted going into it, especially with the portraiture, not so much with the underwater, but I think we did get an image that really, tells the story of power and athleticism. And it's just a neat looking image. Like it definitely grabs you. And that's all. It's a team effort. It's of course it's the athlete, the subject who lent her time, and she was fantastic. From my friend who let me use the pool, to my assistants, to the retouching, it's so cool when it all comes together, even if it doesn't, kind of blow your mind. But yeah, it's still just a really exciting thing to do. And I've got a few more creatives hopefully taking shape. The next episode, we're going to be doing custom flares with our friends at Album. I believe we're at Studio X, which is super cool. And I'll walk you through all that, but it's a really neat kind of thing to have in your toolkit when you're retouching. Some of the flares that you find online are some of the flares that are included in Photoshop, if there are any. I think there is one. Anyway, they're all terrible. So it's best to shoot your own. Then you have high res custom flares, different focal lengths, different whatever. Anyway, it's going to be super cool. So that's going to be the next episode. And yeah, we're going to keep rifling through these because I got lots to talk about, especially when I'm not very busy. My God. But yeah, that's it. We'll do one more real soon. Okay. Ciao.